Welcome to the 19th episode of CelebWorx Live, where we usually know what to do. But with this episode, it leaves us saying, what do I do? What do I do? I'm Christopher Arsaga.
And this leaves us saying the things I do for love. I'm Nery Lemus. Thanks for joining us.
Before we bring on our special guest, we want to remind you that if you have any questions for our special guest or for us, please post them on the official stream, and we'll answer them if we can.
I'm excited to bring on this beloved voiceover icon and friend to the program. We have to thank Tim Bendig from In Person Productions for helping us with this appearance. Tim, I love you. You're awesome. Growing up, my brother and I adored this man. If you would have said to the 10-year-old me that I'd be working one day with the person who voiced the iconic character of Courage the Cowardly Dog, I would say you were crazy and lived in the middle of nowhere. Courage the Cowardly Dog ran on Cartoon Network from 1999 to 2002. It is beloved by millions, and since then he has reappeared as Courage on the Cartoon Fridays, Cartoon Network Racing, Fusion Fall, and The Fog of Courage. Marty Grabstein is beloved by fans across this country, and we are all hoping that Courage the Cowardly Dog returns to the small screen. He's a big supporter of our company, and we appreciate him greatly. Please welcome the beloved and legendary Marty Grabstein to the program. Woo! My God, Marty. We haven't seen you in forever. How are you?
I'm great. I'm here with you guys. What could be better? I mean, there might be things that could be better, but this is pretty damn good.
That's true.
We all digress, but, we miss you. How have you been? How are you handling the quarantine? What have you been up to?
Oh, gosh. What am I? Well, listen, I'll try not to talk too much about the quarantine and how horrible it is and miserable it is. And, I speak to the misery of millions of American people. I speak to the misery of millions of American people. So, okay, but enough of that. What am I doing in quarantine? How am I handling it? Well, first of all, the truth is that I'm home more to be with my kids. So there's a positive side to this, right? I mean, you really got to look at it's an opportunity for me to be home, to be with my kid. I got a kid with special needs. And so ultimately I am spending, I actually have to do this because he is not in school, which is, ridiculous. So he's not in school. So who's his teacher? I am his teacher. Right. So this is what it is, so what a wonderful opportunity for me. And this is true, for me to make good on my commitment to my son, Matthew. My other son, Danny, is fine. He's fine. He's 15. He's fine. Matthew's 18. And, this is difficult for him to be home all the time. But this is wonderful for me. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to help him.
I think you're a big inspiration for many people out there. I mean, I think that, dealing with an autistic child is no easy it's a challenge, and you live with it every day and you're proud of it. And you actually, when you're at Comic-Cons, you spread information on, what to do. And if people come up, you're sort of liberating on the positivity of it.
I try to, because sometimes people come to me at the Comic-Cons and they speak to me. Sometimes autistic kids are at the Comic-Cons. Matter of fact, I find, especially kids with Asperger's, it seems to be a place where some of them who tend to have quirky personalities, elements to their personality.
That's why I deal in Comic-Con.
That's right. Nobody said that, Nery. I know you don't have Asperger's. Or do you actually?
I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that. Maybe on the spectrum just a little bit. Maybe just.
But anyway, but yes, I do try my best. I really do try my best to circulate it. And it is again, it is an opportunity. Everything's an opportunity for me. And so I feel like I'm home. Yes, as far as the acting thing, the business has been like really slow. As slow to a screeching almost halt. And so, for as far as getting out there and doing what I would normally be doing, it's not as easy to do. But I have been doing some things. I have some really very cool projects on the horizon. Should we be talking about that now? Or do you want to talk about that later?
Maybe I'll hold off a little bit. Maybe
We'll hold off a little bit. See, there are rules about this interview. You see,
There are rules.
saying they're just
well, if you give them everything in the beginning, they don't
give them
want
everything. He told me it's thing. It's just wherever we want to go. Should we talk about this one? Maybe not yet.
Not yet. This
I'm
is James Lipton inside the actor's studio. Damn it, Marty! Come on. There's a process to all this.
Oh my God!
Anyway, so I'm good. I'm good. I am. I'm glad to hear that things are opening up. It's a pleasure to go out to the damn restaurant and actually sit inside a restaurant. I never realized how much I loved a restaurant until how long it's been that we haven't been able to go inside of a restaurant.
Wait,
it's really trippy going to a restaurant now, because now they give you like weird different rules. Like the last one I went to, they wouldn't even give you menus. They were like, here, scan this code on this board, and then the menu will come up on your phone. And I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a second. There's people serving? There's servers at restaurants now? I thought that was gone. Yeah, okay. No, it's the face shields and masks. I don't know. We live in some weird dystopian society. Sort of like Courage the Cowardly Dog, actually.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We're an altered version of Courage the Cowardly Dog, but just not as fun and with no good villains.
Yeah, there's no ghost.
Yeah.
But I do feel positive. I do feel that ultimately things will level out, on this whole thing. And I believe they already are, actually.
As do we. We hope that everything levels out.
Yes.
So how long has it been since we actually in person saw each other? Wasn't it? It was in New Jersey, right?
You and me? Me?
Yeah, you and me. You saw Nery separate time,
a
right?
couple of times, a few times.
Yeah.
I've met you.
You and I haven't seen each other in a while.
At Garden State Comic-Con.
Was it Atlantic City?
Atlantic City, right?
Yeah.
Right. Sal and Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Sal and Dave.
Awesome guys.
Oh, Sal and Dave, I'm giving you some free promo, baby.
we had a lot of fun that weekend. That was a good show.
Eric Roberts was there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Roberts was right next to us.
From us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Diane Pershing, your client, and she was wonderful. And
Diane.
I think that when you guys have a little story about that show, right? Am I wrong? When we were
Remind me.
Well, we were literally just talking about it off air, guys.
I know we were talking about something, but I forgot what it was. Wait, we were talking about Garden State Comic-Con. Screaming.
Was something about Christmas? I thought it was a Chris mistake, and I was like, "Let's point it out on air."
I said Diane. Talk to your fans right now. The fans that are watching this show are already lowering the volume on their computers, right? See, Chris could not lower the volume when he was sitting right next to me. And literally, we were in tables right near each other. But you see, I was on the outside of this table, and Chris was on this side. So Chris got the brunt of my voluminous vocal.
It was like, ah!
I love your descriptor, voluminous. That's great.
It was great though, and it was an honor to meet you.
I'm feeling it.
It was funny because Nery, I had no idea how big of a fan he was, and then I was like, "Hey, do you know Marty Grabstein?" Oh my God! And I was like,
"That on the phone."
Yeah, he's right here, man.
I think you put him on the phone. I think I put Marty on the phone with me, and I was like freaking out. I'm like, "Mr. Grabstein," I was like a 3-year-old. "Mr. Grabstein, you don't know what this means, man. This is awesome. This is like the coolest thing."
You know what? You know where I was? I was in the bathroom, not occupied, but I was standing in the bathroom talking to Nery because that was where the best reception was. For my phone, it was sort of a weird. It wasn't the greatest reception. So the bathroom seemed to have better reception. So I just want you to know our first conversation, Nery.
Most encounters with any of my clients happen in the restroom. Fixing something. Not a problem. Got it.
Why do you call it the restroom? What is a rest room? It's not a rest
I
room.
guess you got to rest to, make it happen.
Sometimes you got to get away from the show. So that's the way to do it. But I was so excited when Chris brought home that signed 8x10, and I have it, and it's like one of my prized possessions. Because this show, I mean, for many fans out there, I mean, I'm not going to go into it in depth yet, but it meant a lot to a lot of people because it really was the first of its kind in terms of being out there, in terms of, not being the typical Saturday morning cartoon. So, we appreciate you coming on, Marty. I'm just happy.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah.
You've got your good people, both of you.
I guess we need to start into like the real meaty questions, right? So how
Nery says, I'm going to answer whatever you want to do.
How did you get your start in the business?
In just acting, period.
Acting in general.
Okay,
yeah.
Acting. I mean, it's real. This is really one of those things. One of those tragic stories that really the truth of the matter is that there was nothing else that I really, really wanted to do. It was really a choice of. I mean, I always was doing it when I was a kid. I mean, I memorized The Wizard of Oz, the whole cast out with The Wizard of Oz, dialogue and songs and everything. And I memorized the whole thing when I was about 4 years old.
Wow.
And I would perform it for people, So there was always...
We're waiting. We're waiting. Come on.
If I were a king of the forest.
Amazing. Amazing. The Cowardly Lion to the Courage of the Cowardly Dog. I mean,
isn't that something?
Isn't that amazing?
We can just end the show on that note, right? Like
that was my big thing. I loved the Cowardly. He was my, the one I'm most identified with, right? Isn't it interesting that I would be so many years later doing a character called Courage, the Cowardly Dog?
It's full circle. I mean, that's what's remarkable about life, Marty.
But then when I went to college, I mean, then it was like, okay, so what are you going to study? You're going to study. So really, it was really one of two things that I was going to study. It was either I was going to study theater or I was going to study psychology. Now, I was interested in psychology, right? Because I thought, especially the background I came from, my familial and background, which certainly would bode well for any psychologist who wants to make a lot of money off of somebody, would probably want to see somebody like me coming from that background. God bless my mother and father. God bless them both. They're good people. But there was insanity in my family. I mean, not that anybody should feel bad for me. I'm not you understand, I'm not trying to get people to feel
no
bad.
one's going to garner any sympathy for you. Don't worry. Keep going.
No sympathy. There's no sympathy here. There's no crying on CelebWorx show. Okay. But anyway.
You can literally end this interview right now, and this is by far the best one that we've done.
But anyway, so what did I choose? It was a theater or psychology. So I spoke to the guy, okay, so if I was doing psychology, I was thinking that's a more practical thing to do, right? Psychology, you study it, you work hard, you get your, whatever it is, the master's, or if you want to, be fancy and get your doctorate. But theoretically, you can practice, And so I was thinking, what do I have to do? Well, for the first 2 years, it's very, very hard work. You're doing a lot of reading, a lot of experimental stuff. You're watching rats in mazes and the studies of plus A plus B and social and and I said, you know what? Give me theater. I'll go with theater. It's too hard. I didn't want to work hard, and I didn't work hard in college. I did not. For all of you people that are spending your mother and father's good money on college, understand that I wasted my mother and father's good money on college. But you don't get that luxury today. Ooh. I think that's a little heavy, what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get that.
It's okay. They didn't have classes for me in donuts, or else I would have taken that. So I went with film editing.
No, but
I could be
that's what I really did. Because I did 50 shows in 4 years. I did not only in college, but I did summer stock. I got chosen in summer stock companies every year that I was in college, every summer, I got a job in a summer stock company. And I did, 3 shows, 4 shows, 5 shows, that sort of thing. So I was just constantly working. Of course, when you get to New York City, boom, the reality hits in. You know how hard that is to actually work. Forget about for money, to work at all, to work for free. It was hard to do. And so I would do that. And that's what I bounced around for a while. Did sketch comedy. And, during the 1990s, I created my own sketch comedy group with a partner. And we, for 8 years, we were like all over the city doing a lot of really great stuff, original material that we did, that we worked out comedically. My partner, Rick Mowat, great, very creative guy. And we still work together on short films. We collaborated on, and we're actually I'll hold off on that because you said we'll do that later. What we're going to talk about, what's happening, later, right? But anyway, so yeah, that's how to make a short story long. That is how I got into acting. But God bless. I mean, when this thing came up, Courage, I was still just kind of bouncing around, doing a lot of stuff. I was not exactly burning up the airwaves in terms of money and success. Yeah. I was very good at what I did, but that doesn't mean you're making a living at it, right? So Courage kind of interestingly set the tone. I want to go ahead and say actually the sketch comedy set the tone. Actually, let me say this as a message to all of you people out there who might be interested in voice acting or acting or anything else, whatever that might be, right? It was like what got me into Courage the Cowardly Dog, I am convinced was almost a spiritual kind of thing, something that you can't really explain on a logical level how this happened. But ultimately, I am convinced that the fact that I was always working, not making much money, but always working at my craft, that I was in, keeping one foot always in, working all kinds of other jobs, of course, because that's the life of the actor. But, ultimately a friend called me out of the blue and said, I just got the feeling that you were still around. I got that you were still working, that you were still as an actor. Would you like to come in and audition for this show? By the way, I'm sorry. I am segueing into a next question. Can I just answer the next question?
Please do.
Why not just answer the next question, right?
Absolutely.
But the next question maybe your question was going to be, well, how did you get the role of Courage?
Yeah, my next question says on the script, I have to talk about the pink dog in the room. Courage the Cowardly Dog was watched by millions. How did you get the role of Courage the Cowardly Dog?
There you go. Now it's
there it is.
Hey, I set it up. You take it home, baby.
Thank you, baby. Thank you, baby. Okay. So anyway, so this friend called me, and the reason why this seemed to be a good transition here, because it was like, here I was working, and she just had the feeling that I was still around. And she was saying, John Dilworth, I'm working for this guy. He's brilliant, but he's insane. And he's in a good way. And he heard every voiceover artist in the city, seemingly. He's heard over 300 voices. And he hasn't quite been able to decide what voice he wants for the voice of Courage. So I thought of you, and I thought of your voice, which is very distinctive and kind of its own thing, really. And so I figured, why not you? So sure enough, I go in the next day and meet up with Dilworth, and within like less than 5 minutes, he was like, yes, okay, try this. Try that. He was so animated. And I looked over at Reese's face, Reese Newarth, the woman who got me in, my old friend. And she was like, she was like looking at it like, oh my God, this could be maybe happening for my old friend Marty.
That one moment you're telling us about, I mean, we're talking about now almost 2 decades of love that people have for this character. And that moment's life-changing. Like, did you know in that moment, as it was happening, say, my God, my life is changing from this point on?
That's a very good question. Nery,
that's all I ask is very good questions, Marty. So
that's right. Of course. And nobody would doubt that.
Thank you. I'm not securing myself.
I shut up long enough to allow you to ask it. And that was amazing. That was the beautiful thing about this. And so, it wasn't like, here's what it is. For me, I was like blown away. strictly from an actor's point of view that, oh my God, I'm going to be the lead character in a cartoon series. And I was like, wow, this is incredible, right?
Cool.
And no, to answer your question, I had no idea how it was going to like go over. I did feel very excited every time I would hear they renewed for next year. They renewed for next year. It's doing well. So again, I was not on social media. I didn't know any, and plus social media was not as big 20 years ago, over 20 years ago as it is, got to be. So I had no idea how well it was doing. But in recent years, it's like, even today, it's just the idea that, that I was approached. Well, the idea that I would be approached by not Tim, but James Mullen, Tim's husband, who they worked together on the company, and would approach me to ask me to do, that they'd like to represent me for events, for conventions, because they think, well, maybe, we think that there's a market out there for you in some way. And I was like, really? I mean, I had no thought that people would want to see me, that people would want to like meet me and, get excited about that. I had no idea that was going to happen. So it blew me away that happened. So to answer your question, no idea. And when going to these conventions, cut to that beautiful reality when we had conventions. Remember, guys?
No. When was this?
I vaguely do. It was like the 1920s or something.
Big love fest where people would hug each other and love each other up.
There was love in the world at one point. What happened?
Around everywhere. Nobody cared. But anyway, so yes, the idea of being at these conventions and seeing just how powerful people's response was to meeting me, I was like, wow, I got a whole new wow in my life as an older man, So it's really, really kind of a cool thing in that respect. Whew, I mean, covered a lot of stuff already.
When you went in for the character for the initial read,
yes,
did you have like something in mind, like some sort of inspiration for it, or did you just like kind of go off the cuff and just say, hey, you know what?
Yeah, see, like what it was? It was kind of, I walked in like this. I kind of was like, he said he gave the breakdown of the character. He's this terrified little dog, very hyper, very energetic, very neurotic. Crazy neurotic, but that he saves the day at the 11th hour. But most of the time, he's screaming and he's, So I mean, it was just sort of like let me just try something. I didn't think about.
Oh, that's awesome.
I didn't think about anything. I didn't think at all about how I was going to do it. I just was. Well, I just started like that. I started like that, but really, it wasn't as high. As, in other words, the high-pitched part happened. The way he did it was he was saying, well, I mean, I was sort of talking like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, and I was going, oh, that's great. You've got that great voice, or, they got that scratchy tone to it, neurotic sounding. Probably on some level, Woody Allen, who was always a hero of mine,
And I was going to ask that. Is some of your own obsession and anxiety, did that help you build the character?
I would say so, yeah. Natural anxiety. I'm not a highly anxiety-ridden person, but I have enough anxiety and neuroticness that I was able to, yes, access that, But here, what's really funny though, and what he then did, he made an adjustment, and one of the, what they tell you whenever you're at an audition for anything, they say one of the most important things is being able to take direction. And if somebody says, okay, can you try it this way? And if you can make that adjustment really quickly, that goes a long way in maybe considering you to be cast for something. Yeah. And so that's another lesson to the world out there. Anybody who take direction, don't be stuck on only one thing. So he said to me, okay, so can you just, do everything you were doing, but pitch it really high? And I was thinking, I'm a guy, you hear me, right? I have a low voice, I'm scratchy low, but he went up here, and I'm going like that. And all of a sudden, he was like, yes, he's clapping his hands, he's jumping up and down, he's like wildly gesticulating like I just did. By the way, that's gesticulating. Just so you know. Anyway, come on, Nery, give me some of that. There we go. Anyway, he said, as far as I'm concerned, we got it. You got it. I just got to run it past Cartoon Network. So it was like, wow, he cast me
cool.
Like before I left the room.
That is so cool.
That was so wonderful to me. That blew my mind. It was really, whew, even just telling the story, so exciting. Because really, honestly, it's a hard profession. I mean, you really got to do it for love. The things you do for love, indeed.
Absolutely.
Things you do for love. If you get paid, you get paid. And it's nice when you do. I got some nice paychecks out of the Courage experience,
And people go through their entire careers and not reach that level of character,
That's right. That's right. So I'm very fortunate. And it led to other things. It led to a lot of TV character appearances, gave a little more credibility to my resume. I guess people, and maybe it gave me more confidence on some level. And somehow it got me out there doing more things and Law and Order stuff and independent films. And you've been on Law and Order?
I love that show. I actually called Nery like a week ago because I have it on Hulu right now. I've been watching it over and over again. I was like, I just saw Marty.
Which one did you see?
It was, I think you were like a reporter or like a photographer of some sort, and you were talking
with Ice-T.
Right. Yeah.
That's the most recent one. I just did that about a year ago.
Yeah, it was one of the newer episodes. I love that one.
That was a pretty good one, right? Yeah. I'm talking, I'm running away. Okay, gotta go. I'm running. Right, it was kind of a cool thing. I was beaten up. I had my arm in a sling, and my face was swollen because I got beaten up. I was a paparazzi, and that was fun, It
was awesome. I called Nery. I said, okay, now this episode at this point in time.
You did, and so I went in and looked, and I'm like, this is great, because it's always nice to see, friends of ours on screen, in current projects. I think that's so cool. And Marty, you deserve all the success. I mean, you're just a very positive energy person, and we need more of that in the world. But, I'm going to go back to Courage. You were speaking a little bit about John Dilworth. What was your relationship like during the course of the show with John?
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, he was wonderful. I mean, he was, he's like he's obviously, this is a guy who created this whole thing. I mean, he was just this, had his hand in the whole process of creating something very, very large and ambitious and, daunting task. He was so warm and loving and encouraging and, supportive. You could hear him in the rare times. I mean, he wasn't always in the booth directing me because he couldn't be there every time. Actually, Peter Fernandez, God rest his soul, who played many of the smaller but kind of fun characters.
Like Vincent Tarantella, people like that.
Right.
Iconic. And he
was the voice of a Speed Racer when he was a
Speed Racer. I was just going to say he's the voice of Speed Racer, yeah.
Yeah, but he was the vocal director mostly. But sometimes John would go in and vocal direct. And, he drove a hard bargain sometimes. It was a little bit like, I do it this way. And I do it, and I would just hear them talking. Because you're in the booth alone. I'm standing in the booth. I'm alone in the booth, right? We talked about that a little bit earlier today. People, have this idea that we're all recording together. I'm just standing there alone in front of a microphone and a vocal script, which basically got a storyboard, which kind of gives some context to what these lines are. But mostly, it's do number 12, do number 14, number 23, do those on each line being recorded separately, painstakingly. And so within that context, I had to create some energy and to kind of get it right, so to speak. So every single line was looked upon with a fine-tooth comb.
It translates on screen, Marty. When you're watching that show, I can feel everything of that show. And that's why I think it connected with so many fans.
I hear you. So maybe the work, that kind of work, was not so general. The tendency is, I think, sometimes the general work. I feel that Dilworth, kind of attention to detail, even on the vocals, which is like one of the last. When you really think of what a cartoon really is, right? Just the idea that all the backgrounds, the music, the actual animation, the images. All of that stuff is so important, right? I mean, and the vocals come in.
It conveys the tone, and it elicits the emotion that you want from an audience. And Dilworth, I think, captures it best as a creator, as a show creator.
Yeah,
I have to agree with you on that. And the thing is that he, one of the best things is that I would do something and I would hear him laughing hysterically. In the other room, by giving directions. I'm seeing him. Sometimes they turn off the sound. They don't want to hear. They don't want us to hear the discussions they're having. Sometimes you do hear a little bit of it, but they turn it off so I can't hear what they're talking about. Like they might say, "Fucking, pardon me, Marty." Sorry, guys. They're gonna bleep that out, right? That's what.
Well, we'll figure it out. It's as long as we keep it down, we're fine.
Yeah. Don't worry. Listen, we've gone almost a half hour, and I didn't even say the whole thing anyway. Hold on, I forgot to. Nery, I'm supposed to go. Ooh, I have to do that. Fine. But anyway, so they could be talking about me to Marty. He's killing me. He's spending all this time in me. I don't know what to say. But then once in a while, I'm hearing it. And I hear their responses, and I'm hearing good things, or I'm hearing nothing, but I'm seeing John in the background going like this, like. He's doing that, clapping, and it's great. What could be better than that, right, Nery?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my brother Alex and I grew up wanting to work on Courage the Cowardly Dog and wanted to create, content for fan episodes and stuff like that. That's how much the show meant to us. And I think a big part of it is the cast. It was the writing. It's the tone of the show. It's the stories, because they were so out there. And as kids, we had never seen anything like it, And that is really what stood up basically amongst the crowd, because there's a lot of things to watch in Saturday morning cartoon. There's a ton of things, especially on Cartoon Network. So to actually have something that really hits your soul, and it's like, oh my God, somebody understands us, like they're speaking to us, like Courage was speaking to us. I mean, that's really what he's doing when, he goes on his little, love rage is what I call it, or saving people in the 11th hour. That's really what he's doing. It's, he's working all that emotion out between his family. And Muriel, the relationship he has between Muriel and, Courage and Eustace, I mean, it's so powerful. It's beloved by so many. And it's really a tribute to your acting ability and Theo White's acting ability.
Thank you.
What was your relationship with Theo White? I mean, I know you worked alone in the booth, but after the show and, during the course of the show.
Words can't express what an absolute delight that lady is. And, in recent time, it's so interesting because, I mean, people just, when it comes to socializing, I mean, I would see her in the lobby, in the waiting room, of the, of the recording studios, and we would have great connections. But then they had some great parties. They had a lot of parties at Cartoon Network over the years, for Courage. And so I got, I went to every single party, didn't miss one. I was gonna milk that for all it was worth. And every time Thea was just a delight to talk to, such great fun. She is that character.
She is Muriel. I was going to say that. I'm glad you took the words out of my mouth. I mean, that wonderful, innocent, like good-natured, older woman we have in our lives that we connect to. That's her. I mean, that's...
With one exception, because the difference is that as sweet and warm as Thea can be. She's got a dark, very fun, dark, mischievous
Oh,
side,
I love it.
which gives her a level, that level, as I say, of mischief is really, really kind of cool. And in recent years, just recently, we have become reconnected. And we are now really good friends. We feel as if we always were. Isn't it a funny thing? It's very strange. But now it's like we talk to each other on the phone sometimes for an hour. Just I guess this is one of the things of COVID-19. Thank you. Thank you to the virus.
You just made fans everywhere ecstatic to hear that you still talk to Muriel or Theo White.
Wonderful. She's wonderful. Sad, that I never quite had the connection with the Lionel, but he was a wonderful guy as well. He was a very warm person, very unlike
Eustace, Yeah. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, but do you think that Courage the Cowardly Dog loved Eustace? I mean, he always saved people in the 11th hour, but it was never Eustace. He never saved Eustace. Eustace would always be left out in the middle of an island. He'd be turning into a laundromat. Something like that. And Muriel, he would take home, but not really worry about Eustace.
Well, didn't he? You know better than I do.
No, I'm telling you right now, if he had to pick every time, it wasn't take both of them. He picked to take Muriel home, save Muriel. That was the thing. That was his goal.
Wasn't once in a while he would save both of them, though? In other words,
once in a while, yes. But it was
rid of the between and free them both up. So hence saving, like if they were like overtaken and they were going like this or whatever it was. I mean, there's so many of those things. They all start to blend into one for me. But I mean, I do seem to recall that Eustace did benefit from my courageous action.
That's true. But you know what? Now that I think of it, a lot of the times it was Eustace's own greed that would keep him from being saved. Like there's many times where, that he wanted to, what's my offer? That's the classic line that he used to say. What's my offer? Like, he wanted to make sure that he got his money, So interesting. So do you think that Courage loved Eustace also?
That's a very good question. But here's the thing. It's a cartoon, but still, in terms of there being some semblance of truth, right, to it, if you think about dogs, right, and you think no matter how sometimes some of these dogs are treated so badly, right, or sometimes not given, forget about treated badly, take that away, and just some dogs are just maybe not given that much.
Well, he kind of was treated badly by you.
No, he was treated badly by you.
Absolutely. Booga, booga, booga. That's a classic line.
Yeah. It was like it torment him a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a dog. And it seems like the amazing thing about dogs is more often than not, they come back to, like, they still just have this instinctive purity of spirit that says, well, he's my master. He is one of my masters. So she's the main one. I'm going to go to her most of the time, but I will still, like, I have a dog, right? And long story about this dog that I have, he's actually a service dog, which was originally for my son, Matthew. The one he had died, so this is the second one, right? But basically a service dog, from this amazing thing where from this wonderful organization called, actually it was originally called the Healing Autism, now Blue Path Dogs. But what they do is provide dogs that are trained. Some of the dogs used to be seeing eye dogs that failed the test because they didn't quite have it because the test is so stringent, but still incredibly well trained. And so they're trained to kind of dig in if they're kind of connected through a belt, to the kid who some of these kids elope. They call them elopement, where they start to run away. They just start to run into the middle of traffic, no thinking of anything. So this is a way of we got one of these dogs, and it kind of allowed us to, we walk the dog. The dog is connected through a tether to Matthew, and Matthew's walking with his hands free, just walking around. And then if Matthew starts to run, the dog digs in. Anyway, long story short on that, we got a second dog. Matthew has since become very, almost never really attempting to run anymore. So we don't use the dog that much, as much for that, as much, though once in a while, like when we take him to bigger places, we will use the dog. The dog is still wonderful and very, very well trained on that. But a lot of the times the dog is a service dog emotionally for my other son, who has to deal with the aspects of living with somebody with autism, right? So here's the thing, long story short, to answer your question, this dog, Matthew sometimes, and Matthew's very sweet, but Matthew doesn't care that much about the dog. He's kind of like, pet Betty, Matty, go, and that's it. Like he pets him, and once in a while he'll enjoy to see him, but most of the time, and sometimes Matthew will raise his voice or yell or whatever it is, the dog goes away from him, right? But Danny, my other son, the dog is in love with him. The dog, it's like it's his dog almost.
Please tell me that your dog's name is Courage.
No, sorry. Yeah, he was already named Benny.
Boo.
So he goes with Danny, but but you'll still see, even after a whole thing when Matthew was yelling, whatever, and Matthew's now cool. He's sitting on the couch. Benny comes around, sits right underneath Matthew, right by him, like as if nothing happened. So
you think it speaks a lot to the loyalty of what dogs' nature is to their master, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm going to take it one step further. When we were watching the show as kids, I thought it was a lot about human nature. How about a lot of people are very forgiving, and we always go back, and we want that good-natured feeling of, we're going to save that person, and we're going to do anything possible to go to that 11th hour moment and save the day. And that's why the show, at the end of every show, you felt satisfied because there'd be beautiful little country music playing, and Muriel and Courage are sitting on the rocking chair at home, and Eustace is out there somewhere screaming, "Where's my offer?"
Yeah, right.
That's the beauty of the show.
It is the beauty of it. It really is, really, how could you go wrong? I know it sounds corny, but it's not actually corny. The idea, really, when somebody decides, let's come up with a cartoon show, it's like, well, let's have some fun, and we do a cartoon and let it be fun, and fun creatures and battles and all that stuff, right? So the point is that the beauty of this show for me, and I discovered it, I actually felt this way years ago. This is not since I've gotten into this new world of conventions and meeting people and fans of it and stuff like that. And I was thinking how beautiful it is that this dog is not just scared of stuff. He's terrified. Terror is actually, Stephen King says, terror is the purest form of fear. The most unadulterated, the most gibbering idiot. People become frozen in absolute terror, and so this dog is terrified and he's screaming. And the idea that somehow his loyalty, he's able to somehow instinctively reach down into himself and face his terrors and save people he loves, a certain person he loves. How beautiful is that? What wonderful message that is for kids, right?
That's true.
Or adults, actually.
It's absolutely. I've never grown up since watching that show. So, I think it does offer inspiration to people. And I think the message is so important. And I wish that we had more programming like it now for kids to sort of hold on to and grasp.
Yeah.
Going back to a little bit about Eustace, we went and saw a transition from having Lionel Wilson, who was voicing, Eustace for the first 3 seasons. And then, unfortunately, his untimely passing. The role was given to Arthur Anderson, who was also the voice of Lucky Lucky from Lucky Charms in the early, I think, 70s and late 80s. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know if you knew that.
Lucky Charms.
The Leprechaun?
Yeah, the Leprechaun. He was Lucky from the Lucky Charms commercials in the early years.
Marty didn't know.
So
Marty doesn't know everything. Marty knows very little, actually.
So what was that transition
I
like?
don't know.
Because for many fans, like when you're a kid, like people don't realize when you're a kid, you know the difference. So when we went from the 3rd season to the 4th season, we're like, what happened to Eustace? There's something wrong, and it's just an innate knowing that it's different,
Right.
Well, not that it was bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I like both of them respectively for different reasons.
Well, let me, first of all, I'll answer your question, but also come back with another question. Hold on one second.
Yeah, it's time for a break.
See, makes me seem more human, right?
And for the fans that are out there, definitely don't go away. Ask your questions in the feed. We might have Marty on a little bit longer than expected just because it's a great conversation. So.
I'm fine. I got you. Listen, what am I doing? You know what I'm saying? What am I at this point?
Yeah, what am I
doing?
doing?
What are we all doing at this point?
What am I doing? All right. Anyway, so I'm just saying. So okay. So first of all, you have to remember again. All of a sudden I did not hear much of Arthur Anderson until I watched the show, right? Because once in a while I would be there when he'd come in, and I would listen to, because I would want to hear what he'd say. And here's what I thought was really admirable of what he did. This is something, actors it's very important for an actor to say, well, this is my stamp on it. This is my character now, and I must put my stamp on it. And it's understandable, of course. Otherwise, what are you doing? You got to find a way. But here's the thing, the truth is this is a very unusual situation, right? You are replacing someone who would have gladly gone on, and if they extended it, they would have kept him for however long it was. It wasn't they replaced him because it was time for a new Eustace. He died, so yeah, it was now time for a new Eustace. But I felt, to his credit, rather than try to reinvent the wheel, and I'm sure he was asked to do this, but to a certain extent, as I say, actors are notorious for, even though you've been given the direction, you sort of follow it, and you find your own way to make it yours. I say he really tried, and this is also in the form of a question to you, Nery. I think he tried very hard to be as close as he possibly could to what Lionel was doing. And that, so that he would sound as much like Eustace as he could, rather than try to just make some new Eustace, And don't you think did you think that was the case?
No, I totally agree. I think that he did. Of course, as a kid, you hear the little discrepancies of the voice. So of course, I'm not saying that he didn't do a good job. He did. He came as close to Eustace as Lionel could have. And honestly, I wish that Arthur, unfortunately, wherever he is, may he rest in peace. I wish that he was still doing it. Because, to be honest, in the Fog of Courage, Wallace Shawn takes over, and I don't necessarily think he's the best choice. Now, hopefully John Dilworth is watching this eventually, and he goes and understands that, it really needs to hit it home, because that relationship between you, meaning Courage, and Eustace, it's got to feel familiar for the fans that are watching. And that's what Arthur brought to that role, is he brought the familiarity that we were used to for the previous 3 seasons. And that's all really we could ask for, because if Lionel, passed, there's nothing more that we can ask for.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
So you mentioned earlier Peter Fernandez, but you had a lot of great guest appearances on the show, like Marty Testa and Simon Preble and Billy Lou Watt, Arnold Stang. Do you have a favorite guest appearance that you had on the show?
You also had Linda Lavin.
Linda Lavin, yeah.
We had, I think, if I'm not mistaken, hold on.
Let's go as far to say John Dilworth was iconic for some of these characters.
I know.
For people that don't know, he's Ramsay. He's the return the slab or something.
Right. John, you're getting your, the chickens are coming home to roost, John. wanted to know that. The chickens are coming home to roost. That was Malcolm X actually said that. I don't know what this has to do with that, but I thought I wanted to give you a framework of what I'm talking about. I don't know why I had to give you that framework. But anyway, yes, John, this is definitely liking that. Oh, I loved Alan Cumming, actually.
Oh, Alan Cumming, that I forgot.
What was he? The Scottish guy or something,
Yeah,
right?
he's a Scottish guy.
great.
Jim Cummings actually was Fusili.
Right, that's right.
Jim Fusili was great.
Your guy, right?
And Paul Scheffler, I have to say, Paul Scheffler, who is a lot of the incidental characters, the villains like Cats. Oh my God, was he scary as a kid?
To be honest with you, I mean, listen, I was extremely happy to be doing it. And I certainly, I'm not being falsely humble here. I do feel I gave, much. And I'm aware of the contribution I made to this, a little piece of popular culture here. And I feel very good about having made, as you asked me that question, well, how did I feel about how it was going to go down? I feel like I got a little taste of immortality or something. You know what I mean?
You do, absolutely.
I feel good about that. When I look at what Paul Scheffler was doing, I mean, this is not, I am, in terms of voiceover, I mean, I am just recently hooked up with a notable voiceover agent who is, going to be putting me out there more. So this is I know I'm jumping the gun on
another question, but that's okay.
But that's okay. But the thing is that in general, voiceover is a very specific skill. And while I believe that I am good at it, when I listen to someone like Paul Scheffler, when I listen to a guy who is capable of just altering his voice so
incredible. It's Cats, from Cats to the Snowman to, I mean, we can go on, but what he has, I mean, he's one of the most underrated voice performers in New York, I think.
He's great. And I just want to put it out to you. If you're listening to this, Paul, I hope you're doing stuff. I'm sure you are. And have you heard of him doing stuff though?
I don't know, but I got his email right before we went onto this program because I said, you know what, Paul Scheffler needs the praise that a lot of the fans remember him for.
To be honest, I was jealous of him because, he was doing all these cool characters and I'm just doing the one guy.
He always had this I don't want to dare to imitate Paul Scheffler, but that voice is the Snowman. Oh, it's just powerful. Resonated to me as a kid, and Cats that cool to me. And he was so versatile. And
really, computer.
Simon. I think Simon Preble was the computer, right?
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, it was. It's Simon Preble.
Right, Simon was.
Everybody, when it was a kid, we would go to school and say, everybody wanted a computer that could talk, like Simon Preble.
Really?
Everybody, And Mary Testa is Shirley the Medium. I mean, I can go on, and Peter Fernandez is in Vincent Tarantella. Vincent Tarantella. Very George Romero-esque tribute.
There's your, Chris, your question got exploded.
I know. I didn't know how to like a fire with this. Jeez.
Yeah, sorry.
So you got to work with all those people, and a lot of times when we talk to our clients, we have different clients that worked in different decades in voiceover. A lot of them were from the 80s and then early 90s. They did like the round table where they were all together in the same booth and did all the same recording.
Yeah.
For Courage, you didn't do that, right? You did your own individual. So what were your recording sessions like?
Oh, what was like a recording session like? Like what would be a sample recording set? Like what would be the spirit of it? I kind of touched just a tiny bit on it, but not the actual spirit of what actually happens. So I go in, right? And as I said, I get this, they give me a music stand. I got the microphone on a stand, right? And then I have a little glass of water. They always want water there, especially stuff a lot. But basically I would be there alone in the booth. And as I said, it would be just like one at a time, do one line. And do number 2. All right, let's start with it, Marty. Number 2. What'll I do? What'll I do? Try it again, but this time a little, just compress it a little bit quicker, Mark. Just a little bit quicker and not quite as loud. What'll I do? What'll I do? That's it, Marty. Good. All right, next. Go to number 11. That's number 11. Try it again. Try it again, but this time make it longer and more terrified. So this would be what the recording sessions would be like, very sterile. But in the context of the sterility, there was fun. As I said, John laughing in the in the room, and people, that was great, Marty. That was great. People say it was great, and joking around, like take a break, and we'd be bulldogging around. How about that? You like how we did that?
I like that. I like it.
I love it. I love it.
PG show, my friends. This is a really friendly show. We're going to keep it that way. Wake your kids up back home over there. Wake them up and listen to CelebWorx' show. Come on, man.
I love the commercial. Thanks, Marty.
Now, what are you worried about your children? What's going to happen to your children? Huh? All right.
The show had a recent revival in the last probably 5 years with the DVD release that just came out and the Netflix debut. What does it mean to you after so many years that new generations are finding this audience?
It's absolutely fantastic. I mean, it leads me to believe that, looks like maybe, more stuff is going to be coming if I am alive by the time that happens. Looks like that could be coming down the pike, and that's makes me feel good about that. First of all, I feel good about it just because it's, again, like, wow, how wonderful this, as I said, this legacy continues to, it's not just from the past, but it actually looks like even right now has some resonance, and that perhaps in the future, actors like to work, you know what I mean? So this would be a whole other element of work for me and the family, and just how joyful that would be. And boy, oh boy, would it be sweet on the heels of this nonsense we got going on in the country.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Now, and I'm glad you brought it up. Of course, the rumor on the internet going around, and I mean, it's come up numerous times over the last few years, is that Courage is going to come back in some shape or form, whether it's a TV show or a movie, something.
With some other people involved.
All right. So, I mean, well, firstly, there's one thing I'm not supposed to talk about. So I won't talk about that, but there's something I can't talk about because nobody asked me not to talk about it. So how about that? I've been asked not to talk about something, which must mean that something might be happening. But since I'm not allowed to talk about it, I'm still fulfilling my agreement, my gag order, temporarily the gag order. Stay in touch with me, and hopefully the gag order will be lifted. Ooh, see, leave them wanting more. It's like a cliffhanger or something here, right? Okay, what I can talk about is the idea that they had brought me in because John apparently was approached by, I want to say Warner Brothers. I get confused who owns what and what start,
It's Warner Brothers. It's Warner
Brothers owns Cartoon Network, right?
I think so, yeah.
So that's not I'm not saying something like, like scandalous, like but that's not real. Anyway, they approached me, and apparently John was working on putting together a prequel to Courage. Like young Courage, like baby Courage, or Courage when he did not know Muriel and Eustace. So there was a discussion to do that. And so
there was actually an episode that kind of touched base on it just a little bit, of Courage and his mom and dad and stuff like that. it was one episode I remember, and I think it was in the second or third season. And you touched a little bit base, and people always wanted to know what his backstory was. So it only makes sense that a prequel would come out.
I suppose so, and so, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't remember. I need to see that episode. I don't know if I actually saw that episode of Courage's Mom and Dad. I don't want to disappoint you people, but I've watched a lot of these shows. There was 102 cartoons. I did not see all 102.
Yeah.
I did see, my guess is at least 40 or 50 I saw,
That's pretty good number
to see, right?
That's pretty good.
Right? It's not bad.
That's
it's
pretty good number. We have a lot of people that we talk to, and they're like, yeah, I don't watch any of my stuff. So
no, I will, contrary to those people.
Yeah.
Some of my stuff. But anyway, so, I don't watch any of my stuff. I don't like to watch myself on
I can't watch myself.
I can't look at myself on screen. It makes me crazy. I'm sorry, but you're an actor and you get paid to do it. Watch it.
Watch your stuff.
Yourself. All right.
Johnny Depp can get away with it. The rest shouldn't,
Exactly.
So
anyway,
so
yeah.
now that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hold the thought, just because I want to make sure that I answer this question.
Oh, right.
So it was, I think, John, I mean, he did a full animatic where basically it was, it was like, I guess 540 sketches, with lines underneath it and moving very quickly and being put in sync where you can with dialogue. All the dialogue actually being used throughout the whole thing, and the idea being to put that together and present it. They wanted it presented to them, I guess, and so they probably funded it. I imagine, I'm sure they funded it. And then the idea was okay, what do we do with the Courage prequel? So I'll be honest, I haven't heard anything from anyone. So, my thoughts are, I wonder if that gotten stuck because of COVID, or has it gotten stuck just because maybe they're wondering, this prequel sounds like a great idea, but maybe, I want to believe, maybe we should just go back to Courage the Cowardly Dog, period. Like, just bring back Courage. Bring it back.
Here's the thing. I still have friends that we talk from when I knew back when we were in elementary school. My younger friends all think that this show should come back because, honestly, we don't understand why it ever went off the air. Because after the fourth season, I mean, I know it was probably tough for John to come up with more content and more zany storylines to keep the show driven, but it really was. It seemed like that we could have seen more. We could have seen another 5 or 6 seasons.
Somebody explained it to me, and I don't think it has anything to do with John. I mean, I think John would have been happy to keep going. It would seem like, why wouldn't he have been happy to keep going with it? I don't know if it's that. I think it's one of those things that I think Cartoon Network in general, somebody said this to me, somebody that's a little bit on the inside said that in general, 4 seasons is, unless it's in like a force of nature, like Powerpuff Girls, which went beyond 4 seasons. Because Powerpuff Girls, I think their following was just insane. And they got a movie made based on the insanity. I mean, everything in degree. Courage had a very successful run of 4 years. Otherwise, they wouldn't have kept renewing it, right? But then they said, after 4 years, they feel, what, we've had it. We got enough. We got 102 cartoons. We can mix them and match them, and we can run these things in perpetuity. What do we need to come up with more for? So many people, as you say, kids are going to grow up. They're going to come up and they're going to be seeing it for the first time. Same like what you asked me that question about new kids, new fans watching the old show. So, I mean, from a strict money point of view, what do we need new episodes for? We got enough. That on a strictly nuts and bolts. But I do think sometimes the idea is to, if you do come up with a new show and it really does well, then your astronomical returns will become more astronomical, and all the old episodes will even have more, resonance for people.
And I got to put it out there too, because I think I speak on behalf of a lot of kids my age that grew up loving the show. We watched Fog of Courage, and I hope John Dilworth hears this, but everybody wants to see the animation, the classic animation style that we saw in the show, the original show. Some of that 3D stuff, it just doesn't work with the tone and the feeling of, what we felt when we were kids. So we want to maintain that same, I don't know what you want to call it, the integrity of the original show. And I hope that, when they do, if they ever do bring it back, and I know you don't know, but I hope they do bring that classic animation style back.
They never do though. They never do. They never do.
Well, first of all, it's also, again, it's a monetary thing.
Here's the thing, though. I must say this. Everybody complained about Sonic the Hedgehog and how he looked. So it's all about the fans talking about
people got to complain to get it done.
And which they did actually for the Fog of Courage. A lot of complaints were made about the 3D animation online. So my hope is that they take that information that they saw during the release of Fog of Courage, and that maybe John Dilworth and the greater people in power at that studio put classic animation back.
Let's just hope they watch CelebWorx live, right?
Yeah. I ever thought about,
I'm sending this to John Dilworth after we're done. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'll take it to Warner Brothers with me.
I like that. No, I actually think when you really look at animation in general, this 3D thing, and by the way, they did occasionally use 3D effects, like the Return the Slab thing, the King Ramsey, elements of it popping up now and again. But here's what I think of. It's so delicate with a cartoon because when you really think about it, it's a 2D medium. When you're watching something on 2D, I think, you're seeing these impossible things become possible because your mind says, this is not real, so anything can happen, and we accept it. Like the idea of Roadrunner, like Wile E. Coyote jumping off the cliff. Perfect example. I think they call it stretch and squash. There's some sort of effect that the artists speak of. And so he's falling down, right? So when he's falling down, he goes like that. You actually see he's almost like, then he goes down, smashes down, and he's a pancake.
Right.
At the bottom, is completely a pancake, right? And somehow we accept that, and we know Wile E. Coyote's coming around later. Right. If you make the same thing 3D, you're going to hold it to another level of reality.
Right.
Because then it's real. In other words, it's sort of walking the line of the way real human beings are. And so when you do that, I think you're losing the humor and the sense of wonder of this.
I agree. It's the magic, really.
The magic is gone, and
the magic is gone, and that's kind of what we felt. Keep in mind, I'm talking about my 15-year-old self, because that's what we lost. I felt like the magic was sort of gone, and not because of you guys, because you and Theo White come back, so it's like, oh, they're familiar friends that I'm seeing, and I hear them, and I'm connecting with them. But it's not my visual. My visual's not meeting my reality that I'm hearing with my ears.
I hear you. One quick thing, I forgot to tell you this. This is a fun thing. My wife will love that I'm telling you this story. So there's one little thing that happened during Little Muriel. You remember the Little Muriel?
Played by Kat Susi. More macaroni, more cheese.
Right, yeah, exactly. Right. It's great, right?
Yeah.
One of really funny, very funny episodes. Though many people also say very annoying episode because the girl is so annoying. Little Muriel is so annoying. Yeah. She'll be doing that and stuff, right? And so there was an episode, the part of the episode, right, when the episode was being shot, there was a moment when she's on a plane, right? They're on the airplane. And there's a woman who jumps out of the plane because she's like, can't take it anymore. She literally jumps out of the plane. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So when we were recording, because I remember Theo was there, and we remember we were both there actually, and I think she recorded a different app because we do 2 in 1 recording session sometimes. Anyway, so Little Muriel happened, and John, it was towards the end actually, because this happens towards the end. That thing. My wife comes in early to watch, just to watch a recording session, a little bit of it, and she comes in, she's sitting there. And they realized they did not cast that woman character, and it's just one line, right? And so, I mean, she, so they was who was going to do it? They kind of.
Your wife is the woman that screams and jumps out.
And my wife, who's never acted in her life, and is a registered nurse.
Marty, I need a signed photo. I'm going to find the screenshot, and you need to have your wife sign it.
That is so cool.
Please.
Absolutely. So she basically says, I can't take it anymore. That's my wife. That's my wife.
Oh, that's so good. I love that. That's such a good story.
So good.
So my wife got a taste of immortality, man.
My brother and I all the time with like little Muriel, we always go, more macaroni, less cheese, less macaroni. I don't even like macaroni. Classic.
Yeah, it's a good one. I said if I don't tell that story, I'm going to feel bad if I don't tell that story.
That's awesome. That's such a great story. Hey, Nery, I think it's time for Inside the Voice Actor Studio.
Oh, yeah. Let's do our Inside the Voice Actor Studio questions. Marty.
What time is it?
Yeah. What time is it? Yeah. Okay. So, Marty, we're going to kind of do this, classic voice, Inside the Voice Actor Studio type questions. So be fun with it. People just want to hear what your thoughts are.
You want me to be fun with it?
Absolutely. Not that you haven't shown anything but fun this episode, but let's say, what is your favorite quality about yourself?
About myself personally? My favorite quality? Who asked that? Are you allowed to say the names?
No. This. Have you ever seen James Lipton?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I got confused. I'm sorry.
We're not on the.
I got you.
Inside the actor studio, but it's inside the voice
actor studio.
The reference. You on James Lipton now.
You're on James Lipton talking about inside the voice actor.
Yes.
What would you say is the first thing of advice you would give someone if you had the chance?
Okay, so which question am I answering now?
Yeah, you asked the wrong one.
Oh shit, I did. I'm sorry, guys.
Cursed.
I'm so excited.
Bleep, the creators are gonna get bleeped.
What would you say is your well? I got to do it back. What would you say is your favorite quality about you?
About myself?
About yourself?
My favorite quality about myself is that I experience things. I allow experience to wash over me rather than shut up.
I like that.
Being with you, you take everything in. You live in the moment is what I'm going to call it, right?
Yes.
So now it's my turn. Hold on here. I got to be all prestigious here.
A beautiful show. She got to stand up, Chris.
What is your favorite ice cream?
Oh. My favorite ice cream is
I don't have glasses.
Sorry, Cherry Garcia.
Oh, good choice.
That's good.
Good choice.
Okay. Yeah, now mine is, what would you say is the first piece of advice you would give anyone if you had the chance? And it could be anybody.
What I would give anybody, I would say, and it's funny, when I was talking about this a little bit earlier, I spoke of this is a lesson for people. I never quite said what the lesson was when I spoke of getting courage, and I spoke of, being involved in acting, and somehow it felt spiritual. So my feeling is that if you care about something, if you want something and you love something, just do it. And, don't be too result oriented. Do it because you love to do it. And if you get paid, God bless. You get paid. Sometimes have gotten nice money for what I do, and a lot of the time I've gotten nothing for it. But when I do it, it feels really good to do it.
You know, that's our company motto: is we don't do things for the money. We do it because we love to do it. And you know what? Honestly, I feel like when you do that in life, you can never go wrong. And I think that is really the key to success. If you love what you do, you will never be wrong, guys. I mean, if
you make money in the process, it's just added bonus.
All the better, right? Yeah. All the better.
Yeah, and it's beautiful, but
it is.
Do it because you love it, and especially if it has to do with acting. I mean, I'm going to be doing something that's not going to get me any money. I'm going to be doing a one-act play where I'm going to get to play Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh, I love that.
That's
part of the theater company, Theater 68. It's a theater company that I'm a part of, right? And I don't make money off of what I do with this company, but it's very exciting. We get to explore things, and this is going to be, and it's going to be performed on Zoom over a period of 6 weeks. Once a week, every week, once a week for 6 weeks.
Cool.
So everybody go follow Theater 68 to check that out, and follow, updates and stuff to sort of see how you guys can watch it.
So I'm getting no money out of that. I'm getting no money out of the fact that I'm going to be doing a short cartoon done by this incredibly talented graduate, film school graduate who did this wonderful cartoon. And he wants me to do the voice of it. And I'm saying yes to it because I believe in the project. I can't say yes to those things too often, right? Because
you're making no money on this show, so it's a common thing lately.
Not a darn thing.
Maybe.
But anyway, so that kind of thing. And I'm just thinking of all that. You do what you got to do. And then also, here's the other thing. Maybe there's the promise of money down the line. That is something that might say, okay.
And he and I do this all the time. Chris and I are constantly thinking it might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but doesn't mean that it won't happen 3 months from now.
Right. Exactly.
You never know
it's like playing chess with your career. Like you.
It is.
You plant the seeds and you watch it grow, and then
Yeah. By the way, I meant to also say there's something that you might enjoy that my partner I spoke of earlier, this guy, Rick Moad, who I mentioned to you, we always are working together. We have been kind of approached by some people that he knows that have this thing going called Joke on a Stick. And it's running around. It's kind of running all over the internet. And it's very funny. They're very short, partially animated, nutty things, which animated in the style almost of a little bit of like the great Monty Python animation stuff. I don't know if you guys are so young.
Of course, John Cleese, Eric, all that stuff.
Incredible. When I was a kid all the time.
I know. So anyway, so we've been approached to actually figure out a proposal where they could, and they would absolutely get it funded. They do have funding. A proposal whereby we would take some of ours. This I can talk about. Nobody told me I can't talk about this. So where we put together the material that we did when we were doing sketch comedy with a group that we called ourselves Lab Rats. And basically they want us to be a couple of actual rats that are creating in a laboratory some sorts of this material that's coming up somehow in some weird way. So we're going to be revisiting some of that old, really successful material that we had and getting it in maybe into animation format and having animators be doing this. And so this could be a wonderful moving forward thing, right?
I'm looking forward to it. You're going to become a lab rat, which is so funny considering that when you were in college, that was the one thing you were trying to avoid is dealing with lab rats.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my God, that's right. That's right. And then I became
full circle, Marty. You know, full circle.
that was, but you know, I kind of took care of two things at the same time. I answered your question, and I also gave you this information. But the thing is that answering that question, there's no money at first, so this could be we're investing a whole lot of time and energy and writing stuff and putting that, and it may end up nowhere. It may end up nothing. So what did we do? We did it because we loved it. The things we do for love.
There it is.
There you go.
There it is.
Now,
We
Chris,
need a drop right there.
we have one more question that you have to ask, Chris.
Okay. So here we go.
Early Gates.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually what it is. What would you want God to say to you when you reach the gates of St. Peter?
Take this down to 11.
That is great.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Now, Marty, this is for the clip reel. We're going to end off the show. We end off every show with a voiceover spotlight. I can't tell you the lines better than anybody else. You know how to do courage, so take it away, and we'll be quiet.
I have a feeling something bad is going to happen. Muriel! What'll I do? I'll save you, Muriel! Hang in there! I'm gonna take care of that, or my name is Marty Grabstein. What? Oh, the things I do for love.
My God,
I was
Marty.
done.
Oh my God.
Marty. Oh my God.
And shake the red, man. Oh,
You literally raised the bar so high.
Oh my God.
I think we could end the show and never have another show or another client on. And you took it.
we could drop the mic on that one for
You
sure.
did. Now, once again, we want to thank In Person Productions for helping us bring Marty on. Tim, we love you. Thank you, Timmy.
Thank you, Tim. We love you.
We're going to end off the show. Marty, do you want to tell people where they can find you on social media, things to follow, plug anything? This is where you take it away.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm a little bit of a dinosaur, folks, so I'm more Facebook oriented. I'm an old guy, so Facebook a little more. I do have an Instagram page that apparently I need to work more on, but for the moment, Facebook is better for me. But if it's better for you to do Instagram, gosh darn it, do Instagram. But anyway, so on both of those, keep an eye out for my posts. I do post things like songs and stuff on Facebook. Sometimes I'll do that. I sing and play guitar, and so I will do that. I post songs that are very inspirational to me. But anyway, I will be doing that. Keep an eye out, the Theater 68 website, and they'll be announcing what night my show, which is called Fear and Self-Loathing.
I like it.
6 weeks in a row, one night a week. Go ahead.
I forgot the fan questions.
I was just going to say it.
Fans out there are going to be really upset.
Here if you want. I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll put a bookmark right there in our thoughts, and then go to
we'll put a book note. Saki the Sock Puppet asks, will there be a Cartoon Network Hall of Fame in the future?
Oh, I'm sorry, Saki. I don't know. I imagine there should be.
I'll march over there when they open back up. I'll be like,
Saki the Sock Puppet asks, I heard that there will be Courage / Scooby-Doo crossover happening. Is that still going to happen?
Yeah. I've been hearing about that too. So my thought is that would be great if it does, wouldn't it?
It would be
pretty awesome.
Ryan Spence, our buddy Ryan Spence, talking about King's Rem's Curse. It is true. It is the scariest episode on television.
I absolutely. You were answering that one.
Absolutely. My brother, thank you, Alex, wherever you may be in the next room, has playing Courage taught you anything about yourself on your life?
Or your life that
wasn't transparent before.
That's a Alex is he got a deep brother.
No, look at him.
He's an actor, so it makes total sense.
Has it did anything? In other words, it taught me anything about my life? Wow.
Tell you anything about yourself or your life? Yeah.
No, once in a while, I don't know that I always thought of myself as an upstanding, courageous person. People have told me that there are times as a person that when I come out to people that I speak up when someone is being, being treated badly, or to try to advocate for people. I never really knew. And maybe it had something to do with the cartoon. Maybe it had something to do with my son. Maybe it just had something to do with me understanding, who I am as a human being, that I do have more courage in me than perhaps I thought when I was growing up, Alex. Thank you for that. Good.
I love that. That's great.
I love that. Now, Darian Ramirez says, haha, I love this. Can you do the things I do for love for Darian? She's a huge fan.
Oh, the things I do for love. Darian.
Ah, that's great.
That's so good. Okay. Let's see. I'm going down the list. Mike Lopez says, hey, Marty. Hey, Nery. Hey, Chris. Hey, Mikey. How are you?
Hey, Mikey, baby. Mr. Mikey Lopez, boy, my boy.
Of course, says Marty has the biggest heart, which you do, Marty.
Man. Well, Mike does as well. He is a good man.
So we are just ecstatic, Marty. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, guys, before we take off, oh wait, you still need to. You still had a couple of things to spotlight, right? Before we take off.
Who?
No, I think he's good, right?
Did you cover it, Marty? Is there anything else that you want to spotlight before we take off?
Oh, you mean because you're saying when I was talking about
you put a pin in it, right?
What did I say? I said yeah, that was it. I mean, I kind of got all those. What am I doing now? Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure
I'm still around.
You are still around, and we just want to make sure you feel fulfilled in this, because I think we walked away with a lot more than you did. So thank you.
I feel very fulfilled. I feel very free, very relaxed. And you guys just, you guys helped to create this energy for me where I just felt I can go all over the place. And
I'm so glad, Marty. Thank you so much. We love you, Marty. We really do. And that's the 10-year-old in me. I'm saying this is the 10-year-old. I loved you so much. Thank you for what you did for fans, the millions of kids around the world that watched you.
God bless all of you. You, Chris, you, Nery, bless you both. Kiss out to Timmy.
Yeah,
and James, listen, now, God bless you.
I got to end this before I start crying. So now, before we take off, Chris wants to tell you a few things.
All right, guys. So just so as everybody knows, we are going to be back next week on Sunday. We don't have our guest ready to announce yet, but if you follow us on Facebook or any of our social media like Instagram, we will be announcing our guests in the upcoming days. So it's time to end the show, and thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm Christopher Arsaga, and in the words of Batman in The Dark Knight Rises, a hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a little boy's shoulders to let him know that the world hasn't ended. You can follow me on Instagram at The Real Arsaga.
Great.
And you know what? Before I end this off, one thing that I want to tell all the fans out there is Marty will be appearing on V-Shout. So in the next coming weeks, Tim Bendig at In-Person Productions and I are partnering up to put him on a virtual meet and greet experience where you can get an autograph and a short video shout out by Marty himself. And that will be debuting within the next week and a half. So please take the opportunity. He's an icon.
But hold on, one more thing. Cameo. I am also on Cameo. So
Absolutely.
You've been plugging shameless self-promotion. I'm on Cameo now. So if you want a video, a fuller, longer, as you see I'm capable of doing, video shout out, check me out on Cameo. So those will be, that's what I'm already on, but it's exciting. The other thing that I'll be on too, the V-Shout thing.
Great. And I'm glad that everyone was watching. This was truly a landmark episode for us. So this has been Nery Lemus. You can follow me at The Real Nery Lemus on Instagram. Just leaving you with a small reminder, keep your feet on the ground, always reach for the stars, and never forget to stay inspired. Night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you, Marty.
So great.
Thank you, Marty.
God bless. God bless.